You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
Hello, America. This is JandR Show. We are live right now on KLRNradio.com. It is, despite what the actual tag on the show says, it's November 28th, 2017. I was half asleep when I typed it and put 11:26. But anyway, I'm one half of the crew, Mr. Rick Robbins, and the other half of the crew, Miss Jen Homestead, is right here with me. And, well, most of you know how my Thanksgiving went, so let's hear about Jen's.
Oh, well, mine was pretty good. I had a couple different Thanksgivings to make appearances at, and my sister got to be here. She's on a national Broadway tour, and so we don't usually get many holidays with her whenever she's working like that. Her and my brother-in-law, her husband's actually in a Broadway show, so he couldn't come, but she was able to have about 5 days off, and so she got to come home for Thanksgiving, which hasn't happened in about a decade, so that was really cool. And my son is obsessed with her, so that made his life, he's still talking about it. And we got together with some family members that from my grandma's side of the family that we haven't done in a really long time. Uh-oh, dog barking. Why is dog barking? Just one second.
Angry doggy. All right, so
okay, sorry. I'm like
cool.
dog
No
freaked
worries.
out.
No worries.
So anyways, yeah, we went to we got together. We used to do we used to do Thanksgiving with this side of the family all growing up. And once we all the kids became adults, we didn't do that so much anymore. And just scheduling and everything. So we had planned to do kind of a reunion Thanksgiving this year with all that side of the family. And that was really great. So just in general, it was a pretty good holiday. Finished the night making s'mores in the fireplace on my parents' balcony and singing Christmas songs because we are that cheesy family. So
Nice.
Anyways, I know the people that are like, oh, bah humbug Christmas, they would hate to be with us because whether it's Halloween, whether it's Valentine's Day, whether it's Christmas, we make everything a really big deal, and we get uber cheesy with it. Think Hallmark movie. That's totally us. Just maybe without the romantic comedy.
So nothing romantical, huh?
Well, I mean, most of us are married and have kids these days, so.
Nice. Oh, so yeah, speaking of romantical, I used to make fun of people that said that word, and then I heard Dana Lesh use it the other day, and I'm like, maybe it is actually a word after all. I don't know.
I think it's one of those words that was not, but kept being used, and so they kind of adopted it into the lexicon, and so it's in there now, but it's not. It is romantic, but yeah, people just have used it so much.
Yeah, she was talking about one of these latest scandals and all of a sudden busted out with, flying girls in for romantical sexy times. And I'm like, holy crap, Dana Lesh just said romantical. I guess it actually is a word now. Just kind of cracked me up. But anyway, so lots of stuff going on in the news. I mean, honestly, I really have not been keeping up very well. For those of you who don't know, I had a my grandfather passed right before Thanksgiving. And it was a frantic, mad scramble because for some reason my dad was bound and determined to have the funeral by Monday. So we were all scrambling around like crazy, making sure we had the stuff that we needed. And I mean, Thanksgiving itself went really well. I mean, we had family over, we ate food, we talked, we had fun. And I mean, you know, as sad as I am that my grandfather's gone, there's one thing about it, because I mean, you know, he was a big part of my childhood, and I never really realized how much of a part of my childhood he was until I'd gotten a little bit older and started looking back on all the times that we had spent together. But you know, over the last 3 years, his quality of life had just deteriorated to the point where he basically wasn't even really there. He was a shell of who he was. He had dementia really, really badly, to the point where he couldn't even really feed himself anymore. He had moments of lucidity, but most of the time he was 95 years old when he passed. He spent 23 hours a day sleeping. If he wasn't sleeping, he was complaining about being in pain because he had to go to the bathroom. And it was just terrible. But I didn't realize how, I mean, because, you know, it's just the thing when you see people that you've known your whole life, when you see them, whether you realize it or not, you're kind of still looking at them through a lens of memory. And I didn't realize exactly how frail my grandfather had gotten until we were sitting at the funeral, and I'm seeing all these pictures of what he looked like even 4 or 5 years ago, before the dementia really started setting in, to the frail wisp of a man that he was when he passed. And I got to thinking about that and talking about that with family. I'm like, you know what? I'm sad that he's gone, because as one of my childhood heroes, it's really hard. When you lose a family member, it's terrible. But when you lose a family member that in your mind was always 10 feet tall and bulletproof, even though he was one of the shortest men on the planet, it's really hard to deal with. But at the same time, I can't really be sad because he's in a better place now. My grandma's with him now. I mean, I could get into all kinds of family stories, but most of you wouldn't really care. But, you know, the thing about it is, you know, no matter how bad it is, I have to focus on the fact that he's much better now than he was on even Tuesday. And the thing that helped me was the fact that I was able to be there as he passed, because I was able to experience one of those things that just lets you know that, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, God really does give you a peace that passes all understanding when you're with someone who passes. And that's exactly what happened, because it could have been a terrifying time for him and for us. But at some point when things really started going south, all of a sudden his eyes came open, bright and clear as I've seen them probably in 3 or 4 years. He fixated on a point off in the corner, and you knew that he was looking at somebody. We couldn't see him. He didn't say anything about anybody that was there. But by the time that was done and his eyes closed again, his breathing was less labored. He had stopped fighting. He had calmed down, and he just peacefully drifted off. And it took longer than it probably should have. We have a running joke that it was probably my grandma Ella that had met him, and because, you know, the running joke with those two is they were always in love with each other, but they couldn't stand to be around each other. So they while they had a really happy marriage when they were together, it didn't last forever. But they always loved each other, even to the point where she had passed. They just couldn't be around each other. So the running joke was, because it took about 35 minutes after that moment had happened for him to finally pass. And I finally just looked at Dad about 15 minutes after that had happened. I said, you know why he's still here, don't you? And he said, what do you mean? I said, you know as well as I do who that was that came down to tell him it was time to go home. And he flipped her off and told her he wasn't ready yet.
Oh, that's funny. Like, sweet, actually, in a weird way.
You'd have to know my grandparents, but I know I have lots of family that listen to these shows from time to time, so they've heard me say that already. But yeah, it was just one of those things where I was glad I was able to be there, because I honestly didn't think I was going to be able to make it, because I found out what was going on right as I was getting off work on Wednesday, and then traffic was terrible, and I just knew that by the time I got there, he was already going to be gone. But he wasn't, and I basically, my wife took my children and my nieces and nephews home, and they started working on Thanksgiving dinner with my sister-in-law, and I just told my dad, I said, I'm not leaving until either he's gone or until you kick me out. I said, whichever one comes first, because I know you're not leaving one way or the other, and I'm not leaving you until I know you're okay. And he passed I thought it was later than it was, because I was actually starting to leave when he had officially passed, and I didn't find out that he actually passed until about 10 o'clock, but he actually passed at about 9:30, which was right as I was walking out the door, because that's when my dad finally said, look, you've been here long enough, you have family, go home. And I said, but Dad... But yeah, so anyway. So I found out that he had officially passed at 10 o'clock, but unbeknownst to me, he'd actually taken his last breath while I was still in the room. But anyway, so that's the gist of my Thanksgiving. We won't talk about the funeral because that was a bit of a mess. And so, anyway, I'm still cranky about some things that don't really need to be talked about on the radio. But anyway, so, yeah. So other than that, I hope everybody else had a really good Thanksgiving. Hope you got full of lots of turkey and ham, whatever the case may be that you guys like to eat. Actually, I talked to a friend of mine who actually smokes prime rib for Thanksgiving. I was kind of jealous. I was like, now I really want to do that.
Ooh. See, I love a little bit of everything. My dad got a green egg several years ago, and he now does the turkeys on the green egg, and it is by far the best turkey I have ever had. And it doesn't matter what he puts on. I mean, he does all sorts of different rubs, and sometimes he puts, butter and garlic under the skin. He stuffs it with different things, whatever. It doesn't really matter. They do all have a little bit different flavors. I'm just saying that in general, that smoky egg just cooks it throughout, and it permeates throughout it. And that turkey is so good. I know so many people in our family that normally hate turkey, and they're like, but is Mark making his turkey? And I'm like, yep. And they're like, oh, thank goodness. We'll get to have good turkey. So I thoroughly enjoy it and look forward to it, but I would not turn down prime rib either.
Yeah, so I've gotten to know Jason Doyle a little bit, who's a local radio guy here, and we follow each other on social media, and he posts pictures of the stuff that he smokes all the time. So he's not the one about the prime rib, but he is the one that every weekend posts pictures on Instagram about all the stuff that he's smoking. He did the same thing for Thanksgiving. He basically, he posted all of his pictures of his smoked turkeys and this, that, and the other. And I was joking around about never getting an invite. And he's like, you're not cool enough to come to the Doyle compound. I'm like, you suck. How do I raise my cool points?
Tell me how.
I know, right? I mean, come on. Smoked meat. I'm a guy. That's like a thing. But anyway, I don't know.
Hey, I was going to say, I think the entire nation got this beautiful gift for Thanksgiving that we should, over Thanksgiving weekend, that we should all feel thankful for and blessed for. Do you know what it is?
You're about to riff on Bama, aren't you?
No.
Okay.
Though that was quite something.
Okay, cool.
But Keith Olbermann has retired from political commentary.
Wait, see, this is how much I was unplugged over that weekend. I didn't even know that happened.
He put out a thing. He said to people on Twitter, no offense, like if you're a political commentator and I unfollow you, or you mostly do politics and I unfollow you, it's nothing personal. I'm just getting this out of my life. He's been doing this show for GQ, like a web show for GQ. I think it's called The Resistance or something, The Resistance. And he thinks that he thinks Donald Trump is done. He says there are 7 freight trains coming for Donald Trump that will destroy his presidency. He says that he might be able to dodge a few of them, but not all 7. So he thinks the presidency's over. He's got nothing left to say, basically, and Trump is finished. So he said he's retiring from political commentary in all media venues. After 180 episodes and 500 million views, he's signing off of the resistant GQ and retiring from political commentary. So, I mean, I just couldn't be happier, and I couldn't ask for something. This is just such a great thing for this country. I'm so thankful that Keith Olbermann is going to shut his pie hole.
Heard there was a secret chord.
That's not the song I thought it was. My bad. I was trying to cue up the Hallelujah chorus, but I grabbed pentatonics.
Oh man!
We would have got there eventually, but it takes forever.
So he thinks he's going to be removed from office or forced to resign sometime in the next 13 months.
Yeah, well.
So we've heard that before.
You quit your job before you ever was made to resign anyway, so it really doesn't matter. Just saying.
Yep. And he's been so lovely on Twitter in regards to politics. He's really held back. He's been very, he's shown a lot of patience and tact. And so, I'm just really going to miss that viewpoint from him.
I think he's basically afraid that if he keeps doing what he's doing, Twitter's gonna yank his check mark. So that's probably another reason why.
They absolutely would have to. They would have to based on their new rules. He is one of the most blatant offenders of what they claim they're going to be doing now. So he would have to change drastically, because otherwise I don't see them being able to put up. I think that they'll be able to get away with quite a bit of hypocrisy, left versus right, but he is so blatant and so nasty that I don't think that they would be able to keep up that charade for very long in regards to him.
I just think it's downright hilarious that, after they put out that big press release about how they were going to stop verifications for a while and how it was never really intended to be this thing that basically gave validity to accounts, etc., within 72 hours of them putting that out, they decide, hey, guess what? We're actually now going to use this to basically make sure that we're approving people, even though it was exactly what we said we didn't want to do.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and make this. Yes, we're going to go ahead and make verification and endorsement a thing of importance, something of stature, and it not just be about verifying identities of people in the public space. So, yeah, exactly. They've changed it to where that way they can police it a whole lot more too, and they can deny it to people with, ideological views and that they don't agree with, and claim to be justified in it, because guess what? All conservatives are Nazis. So really easy for them to brush us all off.
So Ron in the chat room is basically saying that he's completely heartbroken. Poor Keith.
Aren't we all? Couldn't have happened to a better guy.
That's not the word choice I was going to go with, but yeah, I'll let it stand.
I'm just I'm being gracious.
Yeah, well, you could afford to be gracious. Your political commentary career has now lasted longer than his.
Oh, that's funny.
Just saying. All right, so actually, programming note before we get too much further. I know that I told everybody I was going to try to come back and do 2 hours tonight. My voice is not holding up well enough to do that. It's been a really long few days, and on top of everything else, because I'd been in so many strange places, I've managed to pick up something that has got my throat all kinds of scratchy. So we're going to do 1 hour tonight. I will be back tomorrow night with America Off the Rails, and we'll do that on both Wednesday and Thursday. And then we'll try to get back to full strength next week. I apologize, folks. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, but honestly, this took a lot more out of me than I expected. I'm not even going to lie. It's been hard to get out of bed, much less go into work and then turn around and do all this stuff on top of everything else. So I apologize, but we will get back to it. We're going to go ahead and take the break, get it out of the way, so we can move forward. When we come back, we may actually talk a little politics, maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just kind of here right now. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. So if I seem a little discombobulated, it's because I am. And we'll be back here in about 4 minutes. As soon as this actually loads for me. Jeez, take a few days off, forget how everything works. But we'll be right back. Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your healthcare? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their healthcare. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your healthcare, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your healthcare while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
All right, folks, welcome back. This is Jen and Rick, segment number 2. Just after the bottom of the hour, we're going to finish things up, and then we'll be out for the night, and then I'll be back tomorrow night with the America Off the Rails show. Don't forget to tune in first for Jess's POV, Daniel Stafford, and then, of course, the Conservative Curmudgeon. Not necessarily in that order, so check programming. But anyway, we've got lots of stuff coming at you tomorrow night, so make sure you tune in for that. Wednesday night programming still pretty much does suck, especially since they moved everything around on the CW. I can actually officially say that now, because all the shows I used to like to watch on Wednesday are now on Thursday. I don't know why they do that. I hate that. But anyway, so we're going to probably change topics a little bit. There's been a few things that have been in the news that we really hadn't had much of a chance to talk about. One of them that I wanted to make sure that I brought up, because it's been one that I'd been meaning to bring up now for a couple of weeks, and I just haven't been able to get to remember to do it, is there's been an interesting story circulating about the Hispanic caucus in Congress. There was a Cuban American who actually is a Republican who applied for membership into the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. And that basically they told him he was too Republican. So it doesn't matter that he's actually Hispanic. It just matters that he's too Republican.
Well, remember, any time, according to progressives, and that usually means other Hispanics that are very liberal, anytime someone of color, but specifically Hispanics, do not fall in line with the liberal progressive thinking, then they automatically are like forfeiting their person of color card and their cultural heritage or whatever else. I mean, that is so much the way that they get treated. It's insane. And so this didn't surprise me at all. When I saw that, I went, oh, well, of course, because remember, anytime that there's been someone that has done something that was Hispanic. It could have been someone who was a criminal and all of a sudden they're a white Hispanic, or someone who didn't agree with them politically, like because they were Republican, like they tried to call Marco Rubio a white Hispanic, Ted Cruz a white Hispanic. They're not Hispanic enough, so they try to put that in front of it. So they constantly demean particularly Hispanic Americans because of their political views, determines whether or not they are truly Hispanic enough. So it didn't surprise me at all that they were trying to deny him from the caucus.
No, it doesn't really surprise me either. It was just one of those things where, we've seen it happen with African-American Republicans that get called Uncle Toms and everything else. So it's good to see that the whole racial divide thing for the Democrats is still going strong. We had mentioned the fact that Overbite's retiring. I thought we could bring up another interesting celebratory point of somebody retiring. Rep. Gutierrez of Illinois says it's his time to move on. Of course, this is after 13 terms in Congress. He won't seek his 14th term. Mr. Representative Gutierrez, it was probably time for you to move on 13 terms ago. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Mr. Open Borders. Whatever, dude. Go away.
Good Lord. Yeah, no. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
We are so on the same page sometimes because I just about busted out with that same thing. But anyway.
I said that on open Twitter. I don't know. It's been a few months now. I was like, someone was like, unfollowed. And I was like, boo-hoo. And it was me criticizing something. It was someone super MAGA. So they were getting mad and they were like, yeah, unfollowed. And I was like, well, bye. And I did like a gift that was like, bye, Felicia. And I was like, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. And their response was like, oh, so I see. You're just another Southern idiot. I'm like, because I used the little idiom. Okay, sure, dude. Sure. Aren't you clever? I was like, because I didn't say don't let the door hit you in the butt on the way out. I mean, okay. Anyways, it's just funny because I said it, and then like 4 or 5 people were like, I have never heard that. And I'm like, you dang Yankees.
No. See, as soon as he called you a Southerner, you should have busted out with bless your heart and just left it.
Well, what I really wanted to say is, y'all got to make up your minds. Like, is Texas the South? Is it not? Is it the Southwest? Are we our own thing? Like, I don't know, because everyone changes our identity for us all the time. And all I want to say is, yeah, I'm Texan.
So yeah, well, the thing about that is Texas pretty much is its own thing, and we in Oklahoma are waiting for Texas to become its own thing so we can join you.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's the only way to keep the Red River rivalry going, because if you secede, then we're
say
going to
that 3 times fast. Red River rivalry. Red River rivalry. It's so hard.
Reminds me of the warm-up exercises they used to teach you in speech class. Red leather, yellow leather.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I'm like, rah, 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 rah.
You know, I heard somebody right after that game, though. They actually said it on one of the local news channels here, and she was actually able to say it without getting tongue-tied at all. I was impressed. And then I tried to do
professional.
It. Yeah, I know, right? This is why she gets paid and why I work for Twinkies.
This is why she's on TV. Oh, that's funny.
So, speaking of, rivalries and weird things, and, I heard something on the radio today that I thought maybe we might want to talk about here. So, if they have the whole LGBTQABCLDMNOP community now. Well, Canada's decided...
Plus sign, percentage, something else, I don't know. Yeah, they're adding symbols,
Well, too. Canada's decided that they're going to now make it even worse. It's now like the LGBTBAAQPRR something. Now they've got all these things for where they've got the transgender, the transsexual, they've got the pansexual, they've got an acronym in there for Two-Spirits, which is basically just the Native American version of being homosexual. And I'm just like, why? I mean, it was this thing I heard, and they were like trying to keep track of it. It was like 14 letters long, and I'm like, okay. So we literally are getting to the point where it's basically the alphabet now. It's just you guys are using letters more than once, which is
here's what I don't understand about it. And for anybody that maybe you don't follow me that much or you don't know, I've got a lot of, I feel very close to the gay community, and I've got a lot of friends, some of my closest friends that are homosexual. I know some. I just know everybody all in that alphabet soup. Okay, I know a lot of people in the community and in the various communities. Here's the problem, though: trying to make all of those letters that you just described, with all their various sexualities and even non-sexualities and everything, all be one community, is not exactly the best thing, I think. And from having various friends, that are in the community, same kind of thing for them. Like, I've got gay men that tell me, like, it doesn't really, it's not really part of their agenda what trans is trying to do, what the transsexuals are trying to do, and the various things that they want and what their community needs are. Those are different from what the gay man's needs are. Just like a lot of it can be different from what a lesbian's need are, or from what the gays are, or from what they are all they all have different views, and they all, they want some of the same things, and they do kind of cross over into the same community, but the way that we've made them all lump together, and they've done it to themselves too, some, I think is kind of disingenuous to what each group's various struggles and efforts are. What is struggling, what a transsexual man struggles with is not the same thing as what a gay man struggles with, whether you're talking about personal or politically or otherwise. So I just am getting really annoyed with that. They keep adding on letters, and they keep adding on, and by letters, I mean different gender, sexes, everything. They are really kind of diluting all of it, and it's becoming, it's becoming so inclusive that it's like, I can't even think of how to describe it. It's like kind of like herding cats, and then like all the cats want something different. Like one wants catnip, and one wants the little jingle ball thing, and the other one just wants to sleep, and the one over here hates the bath, and the one over here likes to have its belly. I mean, and so just putting them all together in the same pool, and then trying to treat them as one, and trying to treat their goals as one, and their political affiliations as one, and even their, marriage aspirations, childbearing aspirations, all of those things, all as one, I just don't think is really the right way to go. And I think they've kind of backed themselves into a corner with this, because they kind of all have to fight for whatever it is one specific group decides they want to be before at the time.
One of the most interesting things about one of those extra letters, because they've always had the Q in there for questioning, right? So now they've added another Q because they've put queer back in the mix. I thought that term was offensive.
Queer has gone in and out. So it was the original Q, and then they took it out. And I have some friends that will tell you that queer doesn't necessarily mean gay, or doesn't necessarily mean bi, or doesn't mean, but when it really comes down to it, I'm like, okay, then what does it mean? And they're like, well, I mean, it means that you're like you're gay. And I'm like, okay, so queer and gay. So why do we have other? They're like, I don't know. There are just certain people that identify themselves more as queer instead of like, I'm gay.
Well, the actual website.
Anyways, I've had this conversation with a lot of people though that are in LGBTQ community, and many of them agree that while they all support each other, it's just kind of a weird thing. Like it's not really one community. It's a lot of different communities. It's like being like all immigrants are one community. That's how my friend put it to me. It from his perspective is like, it's like saying that because I'm Italian American, and this person's Irish American, and this person's Mexican American, and this person's, Arab American, that we're all, the same community, and we all have to fight for the same goals because we're all immigrants and we're all something -American. And I was like, I never thought about it that way, but I think that's kind of a good way to describe it.
That's one of the best ways to describe it. All right, so I've also noticed while I was kind of thumbing through things, there's another story. Now, this story has come up before, but I just want to put this to bed one last time. This has now been rehashed by Attitude Magazine. New study finds straight men in romances often kiss and cuddle. No, we do not. That's gross. No, I don't know
Wait.
why. I don't know why this story keeps coming up. If you're in a bromance with somebody, you need to make sure you still have your man card. Second of all, if you're in a bromance with anybody and you're kissing and cuddling, you're both gay.
I mean, this is such a weird thing to me. I have a lot of guy friends that are very close. Most of them heterosexual. I have a few homosexual guy friends that are also very close, but platonically. And the gay ones are definitely more affectionate to each other, but they're still not cuddling and kissing because they're best friends. They're not lovers. And so this is kind of a strange thing. I don't know. Like I've had none of my guy friends are so like totally macho that like if we all go on a road trip, they won't sleep in the same bed as another guy. Nothing like that. But they're not cuddling and kissing. That's ridiculous. Though I can't say the same for my girlfriends.
Wait, did you say you can't or you can't?
I can't. Not kissing like that, but I mean, we always like kiss each other on the face, like kiss each other on the cheek. A lot of times on the lips, just like a quick peck, like bye. I'm talking about people I've been friends with for like 15, 20 years. And I definitely hold their hands, and we definitely have like, before I was married for sure, like a breakup, like spending the night at my best friend's house and eating ice cream, watching stupid movies and cuddling because that made me feel better. But that's a whole different ballgame. Women are different.
Yeah, we need to change topics because we're kind of venturing towards.
We're getting to After Dark, huh? No, nothing ever like that. But just very affectionate, very loving, very sweet with each other, and also, I wasn't just doing that with any girl, and neither were other girlfriends I knew. It's just a way in which like we bonded with each other, that we'd known people that we'd known forever, and we're just really close, like sisters and best friends that. Just more affectionate and definitely more so than men, but that's natural.
So it's
the way it is.
So it's called bonding now, is it? No, I'm just playing.
Well, we weren't making out. I'm not talking about college.
Woohoo!
I'm just kidding. All right, maybe we really should change the subject. It's just a joke, people. It's just a joke.
Yeah, whatever. People are gonna be
get your panties in a wad.
People are gonna be checking this podcast out like for like weeks.
Dang it!
You're gonna
now I'm gonna get DMs.
You're gonna get DMs about what was it you did? College with who? Do I know these people?
Dang it! I was just joking. I'll send them all to Vera Vulnero one. Alex, if anyone wants to ask Alex about her college experiences, she might actually tell you.
All right. Nice. All right. So now that we've got Jen blushing over here, we should probably change topics a little bit. I guess we could talk about the mental midget of the North at least a little bit because, I know Jess was all over that for the last hour. But I guess we could bring it up a little bit. So he's still lobbing missiles. And of course, Trump's still tweeting about the fact that he's lobbing missiles. And everybody hates it when Trump tweets, especially about North Korea, because they've like suddenly decided that anytime Trump tweets, it's an invitation to start World War III. They seem to have forgotten how many missiles were launched under the Obama presidency that nobody really said or did much of anything about, except for, oh, look, they're shooting another one. Yay.
I mean, yeah, I do understand the idea that, like, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. He should keep his mouth shut. He should not be tweeting like he is, whatever.
Well, technically,
but
he is keeping his mouth shut.
Do I think that it's actually inciting anything at this point? No. No, I don't.
I don't know. I mean, for me, that train left the station a long time ago, no pun intended, because he's never going to stop tweeting. No matter how many parody songs that the group puts out about telling him to stop tweeting, he's just going to keep doing it. Because, yeah, they actually... Remember, not what it was, about 2-3 months ago, they put out the parody Keep Tweeting, which was awesome. Yeah. But, yeah, so, no matter how many times anybody says, you really shouldn't do that, he's just going to keep doing it. And I mean, there are things that he does that I like. There are things that he does that I don't like. I really wish he was more composed on Twitter, but that's not what he got elected for. He got elected because he was the bull in the china shop, and that's what everybody decided they wanted this time. Everybody but us, because we didn't vote for him. But
right. I mean, it still annoys me, but I mean, it just is what it is, and I actually don't even like see them half the time, and I'll hear this. Like all of a sudden see people talking about it and be like, what's that? Oh, one of Trump's tweets. Don't care. When I'm bored, I'll quote tweet it and say something stupid. But I mean, y'all, North Korea, this guy is crazy. He doesn't need an excuse. He's going to be crazy. And if he wants to do something, he's going to do it. And it won't matter who's president or what they tweet. Though I think he would love for the world to have that to blame it on. Like, oh, well, if only Trump had tweeted that one thing, then maybe, he wouldn't have done this. But that's not really true. All it would be a shallow excuse.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing that I'm curious about, because to me, this missile launch was a bit odd, because really all they did was shoot it straight up in the air and let it come right back down. So I was talking to some folks about it today, and they pointed out something to me that I hadn't really thought about, because there's all kinds of physics involved when you start talking about ICBMs and nuclear missiles and nuclear warheads. So there's a re-entry vehicle every time you're dealing with a nuclear warhead, because it's, once it gets up to a certain point, there's a re-entry vehicle that has to make sure the warhead survives re-entry. I think the weirdest thing about this, because they basically shot it 3,000 miles up in the air and let it pretty much come straight back down. I think they're starting to test a re-entry vehicle. And that's just me, cuffing it with some folks that I know that are kind of into this type of stuff that I work with in a few other places through social media that have been kind of talking about it ever since the launch today. And I think that this is just another point of their test, because now they know they've got the range. I mean, 3,000 miles is a pretty good range. If you do 3,000 miles in an arc, it's going to go a lot further than 3,000 miles straight up and down. That's right. That's part of the problem. So now that they know they've got the range, the next thing is, do they have something that makes the warhead viable after re-entry? And I think that's part of what they're starting to try to test now. And I think that's one reason why Donald Trump is kind of ramping up the rhetoric a little bit, because I think he understands more of what's going on than people give him credit for. I am also really, really thankful that, as Jess just pointed out, a tweet from the president is not technically a declaration of war, so we're still safe there.
Yeah.
But, they're trying to make it that way, because that's what everybody from the media and Congress and everybody else says. Yeah. Well, if that's his official account, shouldn't that be something? I mean, no. Because it's Twitter, for God's sake. We shouldn't ever be able to declare war from Twitter unless you're talking about a thumb war.
Right. And it could literally be a thumb war.
But yeah, so But that's the part of what we're having to deal with now, because now we know they've got their range. We know at this point, based on the missile launch that they did today, that they're most likely, and nobody's going to confirm it because they're not allowed to, but they're most likely testing a re-entry vehicle. So they're getting to the point now where they have all the pieces to the puzzle. So we're getting to a point now where we're going to have to do something. What worries me is if we take the actions everybody keeps talking about the fact that they think we need to take, we're going to wind up on the opposite side of China and Russia before this is over. And I don't think I like that.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I don't like that at all. That in no way sounds good to me.
Well, because here's the thing that nobody really talks about with Russia. So Russia did this really, really smart thing when they decided to basically start the Glasnost thing. They let Western money come in, build up all their infrastructure again, show them how to build businesses, put all of our money into them. And what were they doing with their money the whole time that nobody was talking about? Every dime that we spent on their infrastructure, they spent $1 on military weaponry, military hardware. They have the largest amount of military equipment next to China in the world right now, but nobody talks about it. They also did something much differently than we did. In America, when we strip down our military, we start from the top down. They keep all of the brass in place and all the people with all the training and everything, and they cut from the bottom up. So they can literally have a full military spun up and ready to go within months, where with us it would take years to be able to get to the point where we can combat the number of people that they can put on the ground.
Yowzers.
I know, Jess. I know. I'm trying to be optimistic here. I understand the re-entry vehicle is the last piece of the puzzle, but I'm trying to be optimistic here. But yeah, so anyway, we're all over Jess's playground right now, so she's in the chat going, "That's the last piece. Get it right." I'm like, I know it is, but I'm trying to stay optimistic. All right. So anyway. All right, so we're down to the last few minutes. Anything else you wanted to bring up? Anything in the news that tickled your fancy? I know you were pretty much unplugged for most of the weekend, kind of like I was, so I don't know if there's...
Yeah, I just think that, these people that are trying to now say that when it's Democrats that are being accused, like Conyers, there are a few others where they are saying, this producer of Girls on HBO that Lena Dunham is stuck up for, the people sticking up for who else? And he's actually accused of rape, and there's actually been court documents filed. I mean, there's a police report filed. But all of these people, when it's with someone, when it's about someone that they like, or whether it's their politics, or whether they know them personally, or whatever it is, they're all about the screaming for, two sides of every story. Maybe someone lied, all of that kind of thing. And they don't call for their heads. They don't call for them to step down. They're freaking out about Charlie Rose. And, I think CBS did the right thing. But all these people that are saying like, no, my guy though, we need to wait and see, and no one needs to go anywhere. They don't need to step down. They don't need to have their lives ruined over allegations, blah, 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 blah. But when it's been on the other foot, like we just recently saw with Roy Moore, which by the way, I think should step down. So I'm not on the Roy train at all. In fact, I tweeted the other day, ruin a musical in one letter, and I did Babes in Royland. But I think that
nice. I didn't see that.
And yeah, it got a lot of ooh, yikes. I was like, yeah, too soon. But they were all screaming for his head, and that if the entire GOP, and I'm talking every single person that has a position in the GOP, whether it's in Congress or whether it's at the committee level, that if every single person did not publicly come out with a statement denouncing him and demanding his resignation, well, then they were complicit with a pedophile and a rapist. And when it's shoes on the other foot, they do what they do best, and they circle the wagons, they make excuses, and they're all about waiting for the other side of the story and waiting for it to come out in court and giving them their day. And it's just so damn hypocritical. And if they had any sense of, if they had any sense of ethics at all, or at least just any notion of not being hypocritical, they would absolutely be roasting Conyers. And for sure, these women would not be standing up for, at least not so vehemently defending people that have real serious allegations against them, and they claim to be progressives, and they're claiming that, remember how before I said no, women don't lie about rape? Well, this woman did. And it's just so blatantly obvious that it's that they're just extremely hypocritical, and they don't accept it when it's their own. Yeah. Believe women only goes so far. Believe women means when women accuse people we don't like.
Yeah, we've seen that because there's been plenty of women that have come out lately with people that they agree with, and they're like, no. It's no different than what happened with Clinton. Now, there's been an interesting bit of a shift with Roy Moore, because when all of this first came out, of course, he was tanking in the polls, which that race at some point was a lot closer than it ever should have been, even before these accusations have come out. But now these same polls are actually showing him back in the lead. So I don't know what's going to happen on election day there, because the thing about it is the American people don't trust the media at all anymore. And now there's so many different people that have come out. Like the first accuser, I believe it was a stepson of hers that actually said that she was lying and crazy and didn't believe a word of what she said. Things like that are starting to come out.
Yeah, there was just so much damning stuff, though, including like meeting his wife when she was 19. It's just weird. It's just all weird. And maybe none of it was criminal and none of it was unlawful. It definitely, there's an ick factor there. And I don't know whether or not he should resign. But it's up to the people of Alabama. And like you said, the way that the media has handled this, and has really just, he was guilty from the get-go, no matter what, even before the women gave their detailed accounts that they did, even before that truly came out, when it was just like, there are accusers. They were already running with that. He was guilty. He was a pedophile. He needed to step down. And like you said, people just don't trust the media, and especially with everything else going on and the way that they're covering for Democrats and covering for liberals and downplaying accusations against them. they're going, wait, what the heck? And they don't like to be treated that way. The average American, this is why we have Trump. The average American does not like to be condescended to by the liberal elite. And that's what the media is. And so this could very much turn out as a big win for Roy Moore. Who knows?
Yeah, well, I mean, now here's my hope, honestly, because the reason that I was basically saying from the jump that he probably needed to step down was because I honestly didn't think he was going to be able to turn it around, and I wanted them to have a chance to put a Republican in there that wasn't going to be Martin Scandal. So the only good thing that might happen here is if Moore actually wins the seat, even if this stuff actually comes out to be true, and he's forced to step down after being elected. At that point, his governor can actually appoint a new senator. So I mean, there could be an upside here, at least for the margins. Now,
I hate to think that way because I hate to think of like, oh, if he truly is a predator, let's elect him so that we can then still have a Republican replace him. But this is the reality of where we're at. We don't have any choice over whether he steps down, and we don't have any choice over whether he wins. You and I don't live in Alabama.
Yeah, I know. But think about it from the perspective of an Alabamian, because at this point, he hasn't been convicted of anything. And if they don't vote for him, then they're going to be stuck with a Democrat. I don't know very many people in Alabama that much care for Democrats, so I don't really see that. I mean, they're almost
no.
as
I mean,
red
it's
as
exactly
Oklahoma.
right.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, my biggest thing was I was worried about him not being able to turn it around. And as much as I really hate to be the guy that says, well, the only upside to this might be that if he gets elected and then all of this bears fruit, then at least when he's made to step down, the Alabama governor can appoint somebody. I think. Because I guess I think they do that because I'm not sure, because since this was session seat, that's why they're doing this whole special election thing in December. I mean, I have, G lives in Alabama, and my grandmother spent several years in Alabama, so I really don't try to trash talk people down there, but who the hell has an election in December? I mean, come on.
I know. Yeah, I'm not into it. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Don't screw it up with politics, dang it.
I know, right? All right, so anyway, believe it or not, we are officially out of time. Why don't you remind folks where it is that they can hang out with you when you're not on the radio hanging out with me?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at J Homestead and on Facebook at JR Homestead, and check out misfitspolitics.com. There's actually a new piece up by our brilliant Mo Ratty. Mo has written about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau debacle that's going on that a judge just ruled on. So if you are like me and typically do not know what the heck people are talking about when it comes to something like this, she is so great at explaining this type of thing in a way that is very intelligent but very readable, and you come away understanding the bulk of it so much more. So go check that out. It's up right now, the CFPB Monster.
All right, and I, of course, am Rick Robinson. Typically, I do a show right after this one. We do usually Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern. That is America Off the Rails. It will be starting again tomorrow night. Again, I apologize, folks. I had planned on coming back firing off both barrels tonight, but I'm just still trying to get back on the horse, so to speak. And on that note, we are officially out of time. If you like what we do here, you can follow along a few different ways. You can follow along with me on Twitter at Radio Host Rick. You can follow along on Facebook at Rick Robinson. Look for the picture of the guy that looks like the little goofy cartoon guy pretending he's on the cover of Time magazine. Also, follow the station. Follow it. Do it. KLR at KLRN Radio. We're actually trying to get the numbers built up over there. So if you are not following along with the station yet, please do so. Because while I no longer really care about whether or not I get verified, one of the things I want to do soon is get the platform verified, because it is an actual legitimate business and Twitter can suck it. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? All right, and on that note, folks, we are officially out. I will be back with you tomorrow night. I look forward to being back here next Tuesday night with my co-host. And in case you only tune in for these, wish my boys luck. My son is playing in the district semifinals, or actually the state semifinals, this coming Saturday night. So for once, it won't actually even interfere with Robinson and Wright. So we'll still get to do that one, and I get to go watch football. Yay! And then, of course, if they win this one, unfortunately, they'll be playing the biggest powerhouse in the state for the state finals. But we're going to hopefully pray that we can punch them in the mouth and keep on trucking. But I'll, of course, if you're following along on Twitter, you get Friday Night Lights updates on Saturday night this week, pretty much every quarter, because I tweeted that all the time because people got mad at me one weekend when I didn't do it. So they're like, what happened? We've been following along and you didn't do it. I'm like, well, I didn't realize people liked it. So I stopped. But on that note, we are out. I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Thanks.
Take care. God bless.